Paul is going to be introduced by Mike Watts.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. I'm delighted to introduce Paul with his speech, which is also on the pathway motivational strategies. I think it's speech 2 of level 1. Paul's speech, the objective is to present a speech and receive feedback from the evaluator, according to the evaluation guide. And Paul would like the lights at 5, 6, and 7. The title of his speech is To Live and Die by AI. So please welcome Paul Graham.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, to live and die by AI, artificial intelligence and the ethics behind it. So artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science which trains computers to make decisions based on the masses of information that you give it. Now, the same software used to categorize puppies and pictures can be used to determine who to kill on the battlefield. Software used to analyze your DNA to determine whether you're susceptible to certain diseases to be treated can also be used against you to whether you're a high risk at these diseases and whether to discriminate you against things like life insurance, insurance policies, or whether to treat you health-wise. The ethics behind AI is currently up for debate. I'd say it's been discussed more at the moment than the actual technology itself. Like nuclear weapons, once the technology has been discovered, it can't be undone, and it's now in the public domain. It's free for anybody to use however way they choose. Pandora's box is opened, but like Pandora's box, it leaves with hope, because there's still an optimistic or very optimistic side to the use of this technology to make our lives better. So that's where we must choose, right? Making sure that the AI used actually enhances our lives and doesn't come against us. As humans, we must decide how we're going to use the technology and how we're going to regulate it with a code of ethics. Will we create killer terminators or find cures for diseases like cancer? Will it help us live longer or even forever? The sci-fi author Isaac Asimov actually had a go at this probably about 60, 70 years ago, because he came out with his 3 laws of robotics, that robotics cannot harm humans or humanity and how to do what they were told by humans. And that was a start on how we should define artificial intelligence and how it should be controlled. But where is the boundary between harmless use and where it starts affecting our lives? There's a number of harms it can do against us. One of them is like bias and discrimination. Even now, right, we're using things like social media, search engines, Google. It's collecting information on us, then it's feeding us back information. How do we know what it's doing with this information, or what's feeding back to us is not putting some kind of bias or discrimination into that decision? We don't know at the moment, right? We have no idea what the algorithms being used by Facebook are, or Amazon, or these kind of modern websites. We don't know how it's being used against us. I mean, it can deny us our individual autonomy and recourse of rights. Now, we may think freedom is being able to walk down the road. Well, we can walk down the road, but however, there's online freedom. It may deny us things that we want to do. There's lots of publicity and news about in the recent elections and referenda where we were profiled and the information fed back to us was based on our certain behavior to try and influence our views. So do we have free will at the moment online, or are we being fed back what they want to feed us based on our behavior and our profiles? There's the obvious one, like also invasion of privacy. We've all heard about CCTV walking down the roads and scanning our faces and keeping track of what we do. But there's also the more subtle things like these health trackers. I've got an Apple Watch. I'm told they're not doing anything with the information, but it's tracking my usage. This one is actually tracking my heartbeat. It takes ECGs, VO2 levels. I hope they're keeping, this information isn't being shared about me. But who knows? Who knows what information, whose hands that information is going to get into in the future? I may have an underlying health condition that they know about and I don't know yet because it's tracking my heart rhythms. So it's this kind of privacy needs to be kept on top of and laws created against people misusing it. There's also the aspect of isolation and disintegration of the social connections and communities. And I think lockdown over the last year has probably enhanced that, right? We're not out seeing people, but I think more people are out online using social media, and the way we use social media to interact with each other. Like Facebook has a news feed. We don't see all the news feed. We see what they want us to see. So we may be seeing lots of news from certain people we know, but we may not be seeing anything from other people. And that controls who we connect with and who we communicate with. So we think we've got freedoms there, but actually our freedoms are being controlled using these kind of artificial intelligence algorithms. So we need to come up with a set of ethical standards on which AI systems should adopt principles of bioethics that include things like respecting the autonomy of individuals, protecting people from harm, as Asimov hinted in his Laws of Robotics, looking after the well-being of others, must maintain our well-being, and treat everybody equally and justly. Well, is this being implemented at the moment? I don't think we really know, actually. These ethics must embrace what we consider tenets of human rights. So of course there's freedom and dignity under law, protect of civil and political and social rights, and the universal recognition of personhood. Right? We mustn't let the artificial intelligence that's being used to help us actually take these things away from us. And maybe we're on the edge at the moment of, we're using social media, and what we're being fed and how we interact with people on social media may be affecting some of these at the moment. And also, yes, community and life of the community. Again, lockdown, I think, has really enhanced this whole aspect of online, dealing with people online through social media, where we could previously go out and meet people or meet who we wanted to, and now we're restricted to who we're going to meet online. So who's going to enforce all this? Are we going to let 20-something developers implement this? And at the moment, I don't think it's really worked out very well leaving it to Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook. So I think we're going to have to force individual and companies to adopt the code of ethics, which is enforced by laws and regulations. At this stage, there are probably more questions than answers, but we clearly need a strategy for ethical AI that leads to the bright, optimistic future that we're promised. Mr. Toastmaster.